All right, ladies. Well, here we are again for another self love conversation. And I have to tell you, yes, the face that you see on the screen is a male. We do have someone who is male in the house. And the reason why I wanted to have a male to come on for our love and relationship month, ladies, is because we need a male's perspective about how to have a healthy relationship. Every time we have a whole bunch of women that come on here and we're all preaching to the choir,
Really?
right? But we have a relationship coach, Mr. Ken Cannon, who is one half of the Grand Cannons. Is that correct? With
That
your
is
wife?
yes, yes. The other half is my wife, and we do relationship coaching together. And I just so happened, I told her about a year and a half ago, I wanted to focus specifically on women because there was a conversation that needed to be had. And a lot of the voices out there that are having conversations, uh, I didn't really like what was being said. So
I got
started doing it myself.
And Coach Ken, the biggest thing that we would want to know as far as women, and this is general, not to, pin you into being the person that will speak for all men. Let's just get
Sure,
that out there
sure.
first, right?
Right.
Um, is what is a male's perspective when it comes to a healthy relationship? And the biggest question women want to know is, how do you know when a man is genuine and love you in a relationship, and it's just not about sex or getting what he want or anything like that? Like, because a lot of us women, we come into the relationship thinking one thing and he's thinking another. So what are some of the things that you can tell us that we can actually be aware of? And what's the real?
So I'm glad you started with that question because number one, like I teach my students. I have a lot of clients that are women, and I
Mhm,
teach them. We go about first. It all starts with the dating process. They go about dating incorrectly.
mhm.
And I'm gonna start because a lot of times when women get into a dating relationship, they create this fantasy of, wow, this guy's nice, he's treating me well, and then they start projecting in their minds what the relationship's going to be. You
No, I
know,
tell you what we do. Yeah, we say, oh wow, this guy is nice, he's great.
right,
We start to think about the stuff we would do for them, right?
right.
And thinking that they will do it for us. Like that's how we think. We do create a fantasy.
Well, the problem with that is this, and this is there's a process that I created. Is it's called the two seed method. All right. And what it is, it's collect, then connect. So what happens is women when they get in a relationship, the reason they keep picking the wrong guy, the reason they keep picking the same guy, the reason all of these things keep happening is because they forego the first part. And the first part is collecting. They don't collect enough data. Dating is simply collecting data. I teach my people how to ask questions, what questions to ask, how do you follow up, how do you collect enough data to determine whether or not you can connect with the person or you should connect. But many women they want to go straight to the connection phase. Ooh, I feel good. He's calling me beautiful every morning. He texted me. All of those things. And so now they go straight to the connection, bypass the collecting phase, and find out that the person isn't who they thought they were.
So what is the man doing though while he's doing all these things? Is he just trying to get what he want? Is he just doing it because he thinks this is what he's supposed to do? Like, so that's where the confusion comes in, because in the woman's mind, you're doing this because you like me. In the man's mind, he's saying what generally?
So that's another good question. And the reality is because we don't ask enough questions, because we don't probe enough, because we don't inquire enough, because our job, see, men look at dating where they're collecting data. What they're determining is they're determining, okay, can I be serious? Can I be committed? Is she wife material? All of those things, while they're not creating fantasies in their mind. Now, they do have objectives. But if, and I always say, both of you have relationship goals. Now, his relationship goal might be to smash. Okay, it might be
Mhm.
I'm just want to smash.
Right.
Your relationship goal might be I want a committed relationship. But if you don't dialogue in a specific way, in a very specific way, your goals never meet. And a lot of women don't tell the men their goals because I don't want to run him off. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to say what my true goal is, my true intention.
Right.
Thus, you get stuck with a whole bunch of busters.
Yeah.
That's
I
what it lies.
I understand that. And one of the things, one of the points that you pointed out in the blog, which thank you for writing it, is that you said if you don't require it, you won't get it. Can you
Right.
explain what that means?
So here's what that means. A man, and I am a man, and see, like I always tell people, I'm uniquely equipped for this job because I used to be that guy. I
Hmm.
used to be the guy, the consummate cheater. I used to be the guy trying to look to smash, doing everything I could, and then I changed, and now I look at relationships, I look at women, I look at all of that through a different lens now. So when I tell people, I say, if you don't require it, you won't get it. A man will only rise to the standard you create for him.
Hmm.
And so what that means is if you don't create the standard, he's going to always fall below it because he doesn't know what the standard is. Now, a lot of times women don't want to create the standard because they're afraid that he might run off. If my standard is you open the door every time we go out, that's my standard, right? Then you have to require it every time. But if you don't require it, he's not going to do it. And what happens is a lot of women get upset because he can't read my mind. He's not living up to my standard. Well, number one, he doesn't know what it is. And
Right.
number two, you don't require him to do it. A
Hmm.
man will only rise to the standard that you create for him. A good man or a bad man. A good man, a high quality man or a low quality man. So it's up to the female to create the standard, verbalize the standard, and be consistent about the standard.
And I get that. Is it safe to say, though, Coach Ken, if you are a woman who does have these standards
Right.
and a man does not um, live up to those standards, that it's a good opportunity to step away from that because then and a lot of women don't do it, then you call bougie, you too high maintenance, you're this, and then you hear a lot of guys say, all you want is money anyway, and all this stuff. So when we talk about these standards, we also have this balance of what guys think too. Like, oh, you always want me to open the door. You always want to do it. You too bougie. You too this, right?
Okay.
So how do we handle that and not being too independent and asking for what we're asking for without being labeled?
Okay. So let me put this in very a perspective that you can understand. So here's the thing. Now, every battle you don't fight. Okay, I
Mhm.
would say every battle is not worth fighting for. Okay. Now, when you bring two parties into a relationship, people come from different perspectives. Yeah, they have different ideologies about the world, and you're trying to mesh that together to form a relationship. I get that. However, there are some non-negotiables. Now, and what you have to do is determine what those non-negotiables are. Now, the non-negotiable might not be you take out the trash every Wednesday. I mean, that might be ridiculous. I mean, but there are some things that you've decided in your life that matter that much.
Right.
Okay? And here's the reason why that's important. If the things that you matter that much, if you don't verbalize it, look, ultimately you're going to resent the person for not living up to those things.
That is
Okay?
correct.
And
Hmm.
so you decide what those non-negotiables are. All right. And I feel like everybody and most people haven't really thought about that. They haven't thought about it. They just say, well, I'd like for you to do this. I'd like for you to do that. I'd like for you to do that. And if he doesn't do that, then what? Okay.
Right.
Is that a non-negotiable? You have to ask yourself that question. And you have to be willing to ask yourself tough questions. The reason why a lot of females don't ask men tough questions is because they don't ask themselves tough questions.
Okay, so I have a scenario of myself. I'm divorced, right?
Okay.
And I've tried dating. That's why when we have love and relationship month, I bring people because I
You said
need
try big.
experts.
Okay.
Okay. I need experts. Okay.
Now you said it, although it's like, I tried
I
golf.
know I need help. So I
Okay.
know I need help. So I don't even try. I make sure I stay in my lane, right?
I,
And so I remember when I went out and I told the ladies this. I went out and it was me and my friends and it was a birthday party. And there were two guys that walked in, and one of the guys, oh my God, he was so cute. And I was like, wow. I said,
okay.
you are fine, right? I told him that, right? And he was like, thank you. So, I live in Atlanta, right?
Okay.
And we sat and
Okay.
you're from Atlanta. So
Yeah.
I sat down, they sat down, and I was like, are you guys together or you guys are related? Like, what's going on? And then he just looked at me. He gave me this face. He's like, what you mean together? And I'm like, well, we don't know, like, so I'm asking because I don't want to, intrude if you guys are together. I don't want to intrude if this is a family thing.
Okay.
So he said, no, why would you ask that? This is my cousin, all of that. And I said, oh, okay, I apologize, but this is Atlanta. You kind of got to be respectful and ask.
Sure. Sure.
And so during the course of the night, me and my friends, we ate dinner and everything. And we kept looking at each other. And so finally, he was being respectful and he came over and he said, why did you ask that? I said, because of where we live. You want to be able to respect, right? And
Right.
so we started chatting back and forth, and I started asking questions. I was like, okay, so what do you do? All this stuff or whatever.
You asked the normal superficial questions. Okay.
Exactly,
Right.
right? And so what he told me was, he was like, you are very aggressive, right? And I said, how? I said, how is that? What my goal was, Coach Ken, was to get all my questions answered. So I know if I need to give you my phone number or not,
Okay.
right?
Okay. All right. I'm taking notes right quick.
Right?
Okay.
And so he said, you're very aggressive. And I said, so what, what are you used to? Are you just used to people, where you do the small talking? He said, well, I like to kind of ask questions and we go back and forth. So I said, okay, fine. I said, you can ask whatever you want. So we finally laughed. I bought a couple of drinks and all this stuff. And, we exchanged numbers, never got a call back.
Okay.
and
Okay.
so, and so I said to my friends, I said, okay, you know maybe it is the aggression because I asked some of my male friends, do you think I'm too aggressive? They was like, you too direct because you're coming with what you want, and sometimes that's intimidating for the guy because you're asking questions like, so what is it that you're working on right now? Is it
What the hell
like
you
what
doing?
that
Look,
you
you
know
got a job, right?
what are some of your goals? Like what are some of your goals? How many kids do you have? You
Gotcha.
know, kind of things like that. So when you in this thing where you're labeled as the strong black woman who's
Mhm.
aggressive and who's this, how do you get out there to have a healthy relationship where the man feels like you're basically taking over his role or not giving him room to do his job?
I look like I'm about to bake a cake.
I know
I-
it.
I'm about to get in this
Help us
kitchen.
out, Coach K, because it's a
Oh,
lot of us. It's a lot of us.
so let me answer this question in two ways, and I'm glad I took notes here. Number one, number one, um, perception is real. I didn't say perception was reality.
Right.
See, perception is real to the person who perceives it. And many times it's not based in reality. Okay, so that being the case, his perception was one thing that you were not trying to project. So now let me get to the second part of the answer. The reason why his perception was that is because nowadays you have a lot of, and I just taught on this. I said,
Hmm.
nowadays you have a lot of women who are bosses at work. They are driven, they making money, they doing their thing, they taking care of their kids. And a lot of it is because men were not in the rightful place. But that's not the full story. But then so what women have had to do was assume masculine energy.
Mhm.
Okay? And masculine, and we men have masculine energy and they have feminine energy. Women have feminine energy and masculine energy. The problem is this. The problem is that energy. You ever heard somebody say, the vibe just wasn't right? That
That's
vibe
right.
just wasn't right.
Yep.
I don't want to get too deep in the science of it because I'm the thing about me, I'm a coach where not only do I get into the science of it, I tell you what's going on and I tell you why.
Right.
But let's keep it high level. Let's keep it low level this time. But what I'm saying is your masculine energy is off balance because you used to go, and I'm not trying to be funny,
No,
because you used to
we
go
need the
on.
truth.
You even said your very words were, I wanted my questions answered.
Correct.
Okay.
I
And
did.
so with that, you say, I got to get my questions answered beforehand. So that's masculine energy. When a man, and I teach my students this, I said, listen, y'all, you will get far more with your feminine energy than you ever would a masculine energy. Because when a masculine energy man, he doesn't want to see masculine energy. He doesn't want to encounter that. He doesn't want to confront that. And so when he says it, hey, you're aggressive, what he's really saying is, I don't want to date myself in energy form. Okay. And so what I tell people is you could have asked those very same questions in a way in your feminine energy, got your questions answered, and the perception would have been different.
I got you. I
Does
got
that make sense to you?
it makes a lot of sense because personally, I get that a lot where it's true because you're in a leadership role so much,
Right.
right? You are basically trained to, not go around the bush, right? You just cut to the chase and you say,
Sure.
hey,
Because you
you
can
know,
cut out the fluff. Cut out. I don't
that's
want to
right.
hear all BS.
And
I just
Coach Ken, it's like being married and then you get divorced. It's like you said, you change and you start to say to yourself, okay, if I'm going to put myself out there again, I want to be able to make sure that I don't have a whole bunch of fluff. Hopefully, I'll be able to handle a couple of things because nobody's perfect, right? But at
right.
least I get a good idea on what's going on.
But there's a way. There's a way to do that. All right, cut out the fluff and still maintain and walk in that feminine energy and get what you want.
And I like what you said. Another point that you made in the blog, you said that a man never bases your value on the sex that you give him.
Yes, 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 yes. And many times, what happens is, and one thing about me, I'm real, I'm raw sometimes, and I'm
Oh,
relatable.
me too.
So oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I don't
So
want
you
to,
good?
I don't know what kind
No,
of audience is. So I want to be
no, we
respectful.
cussing everything. We cussing
Oh,
everything.
okay, okay, okay. So look, since we're doing this, let me keep it 100.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is, I said, listen, a lot of women think because men want sex, good men, and this is the part, get this straight. Men, good men, bad men, all men want sex the way we're wired because we have excess testosterone.
Right.
Okay, well, that's why when that fades later on in life, men have problems with it because we want sex. Because a man wants sex, that neither means that he neither likes you or dislikes you. That's just what we want. The second thing, though, is this: is women think because here's where the screws get twisted. They think because he wants to have sex with me all the time, because he wants to smash, because he's licking and splitting and turning me every kind of way, that he cares a certain thing, a certain way. That's not necessarily true. There are three things you got to understand. There's the physical connection, the emotional connection, and the mental connection. The first thing that the man wants to do is get the physical connection. That's his first
Right.
thing. His last thing is an emotional connection. Women, they want to get the emotional connection. Okay, I'll give you the physical, but they think that if I give you the physical connection, I'm going to get the emotional connection. And
Mhm.
that's not the way men are wired. And
Mhm.
so, what I tell people is, my specialty is teaching women how to build their personal brand to attract their ideal man. And so, what I tell them is, everything you do is a reflection on your brand. So, if he calls you up at 10 o'clock at night, come by. I just Netflix and chill. And then your brand, every time you go by, you smash, you rock his world. Then all of a sudden, you wonder why you get labeled in his mind as the pussy delivery girl. All right,
Mm-hmm.
because now all of a sudden your brand has been solidified in his mind. Well, I can just smash. I'm gonna call her at 11 o'clock. That's what I do. And so now he equates your value to that.
Got
And so
it.
now women don't realize why would he commit? Why won't he commit to me? Why won't he do that? It's because your brand is been tainted by the behavior you've been exhibiting, and
Got you.
that's the reason why.
Well, like Oprah, that's an aha moment for me, for sure. Because, we as women, we try to understand what's in the man's psyche in order to know how to, you know, conduct ourselves as far as a relationship. Because our number one goal is to not get hurt,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, and there is a way to go about doing it. I wrote a book, an ebook, a free ebook. It's called Just Ask 50 Questions to Know if He's the One. And in the book, I teach them in a short way. I said, listen, these 50 questions are important. But not only are they important, they go beyond the superficial, they go into his subconscious.
Mm,
So when you want to go into a subconscious, you ever been questioning somebody and all of a sudden they look up for the answer? It's like
yeah,
it's called neuro linguistic programming. They look
yeah,
up for the answer. They're trying to find the answer. And
yep.
so all of the questions that I teach women to ask, it goes beyond the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, and now you get a glimpse into his heart. And
Mhm.
so what happens? We're only asking surface. Well, what do you do? What you do for? Oh, how many kids you got? Surface. I don't even have to think about that. I know how many kids I got. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But now when I begin to probe deep past the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, and I ask you this right here. Now get this. This one question. Tell me three things you learned from your last relationship. Just that one question alone. All
Mhm.
right. You cannot answer that question with your conscious mind. You have to go to your subconscious mind to think about, to relive what happened in the relationship. You
Exactly.
see what I'm saying?
I do.
And now I'm getting a glimpse into you, who you truly are.
I I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I have one more thing, and we will definitely let you go.
Well,
Another, the
thank you for
last
having
point.
me.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. The last point that you said, which stood out for me that I wanted you to talk about. You said attraction brings you together, but only core values keep you together.
Right.
And so I think most of the women who are on here, they're either married or single or in the process of dating. Can you speak about those core values? Because when we talk about a healthy relationship, most of us honestly doesn't even know what that looked like because we're always looking at what we were used to or what our parents did or anything like that. So when you come together and the core values keep you together, what are some of those things? Like, is it religion? Is it, all kind of stuff? Or is it something a little bit different?
So I'm going to answer that question by telling you I've been married 20 years.
Mhm.
And 14 years ago, my wife and I were headed to divorce court.
Mhm.
And the reason I tell you the story, and we found a way to right the ship. And 2 years ago, right before COVID, I asked my wife. I said, "Why do you stay with me?" And then she said, "Because I love you." And I said, "That's not enough." I
That's
said,
right.
"Because if that were the case, it wouldn't be over 50% divorce rate." So again, I made her think deeper. So we were in a business meeting. We have a business meeting. We have a business together, our company.
Mhm.
And so I said, think about it. I want you to think about it. And then she started thinking about it. She was like, right. I love you because number one, I stay with you because number one, you let me be me. I'm true to myself. Then she started talking about it and more of it. Then I said, you know what? What we have done, we have created a culture in our relationship based on core values.
Mm,
And our core values are similar. And we wrote a book called The Canyon Culture, right? During COVID. And
right.
so the book is out now.
Mhm.
And in the book, we talk about what our core values are, and they're similar. Because see, people get twisted. They think because your personality is different from the person you with that you're different. That's not true.
Amen.
I'm loud. My wife is not loud like me. I'm over the top. She's not. And what happens, our personalities are different, but our core values are the same. And
Mhm.
so our core values, one of the core values that we have is we operate our marriage like our finances in our marriage like a business. We
Mm.
both have that value. Okay. One of the other ones is it's non-negotiable is that the other we support each other's dreams. And so we wrote out a list of our core values and realized that's why we don't want to leave. Think about it like this. There are companies. There are companies that have created cultures that people don't want to leave. They don't want to leave the companies.
That's right.
Google, Zappos. I mean, there are tons of other companies like they don't want to leave because they've created a culture inside of the relationship. And so what I ask people when I start coaching couples, I said, list your core values. Do you know most people have never listed their core values, the things that matter the most? And
Wow.
now all of a sudden they're like, wow. And some people, religion, yes, that's a core value. And
Right.
so and so I created this. Last thing I'm gonna say is this: I
Oh,
created this thing called the compatibility spectrum. As an assessment that I give people that show people, wow, are we really compatible, or do we just have chemistry?
mm-hmm.
Or do we just have chemistry? And our true compatible, we really not that compatible. Then some people say we really are compatible.
Or is it something to do for now?
Or is it something to do for
You know,
you
is it something to do for now? You know.
yes, yes, yes.
Coach Ken, thank you so much for being here. Please give out your information, your social media, where we can find your book, everything.
So thank you. What I will say is you can reach out to me. I'm gonna get you two pages. I want you to join my group if you want more teaching like this. My group it's on Facebook. It's called Love, Lust, and Lies by Ken Canyon. Just look for me and I join our group. And I'm gonna tell you, the group is so empowering. I created the group so that I could teach people and coach them just like this. Or you could go to my website www.coachkencanyon.com. And Canyon is spelled Canion, not Y. CoachKenCanyon.com. And let's grow together. Let's do
Enjoy.
it.
Coach Canyon, thank you so much for being here. And I definitely appreciate it. And we'll make sure we'll connect with you soon. Okay.
Thank you so much. Keep doing the job. And look, keep dating. You know? Oh, I got to tell you this. I'm coming to Atlanta. My wife and I are doing a 21st century speed dating mixer. And,
Lord,
and we
where?
we're doing it up here in my area in North Carolina first. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is July 31st, but we coming to the A. We're coming to the A. Look, I'm telling you, it's gonna be high quality men, high quality women. I'm bringing them together. Listen, it's
Look,
gonna be
let
dope.
me get that free ebook so I know what questions to ask because they be moving me along, Coach.
So let me tell you where to get the free ebook. Go look,
They be
go
moving me
to
along.
go to www.coachkencanion.com. Scroll down and you'll see the free book. You can get it right there. Download it tonight.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I ask questions like, "What's in your medicine cabinet?" Let me
yeah,
see
but see, but it's the energy. You're
what
like,
your medicine cabinet look like. I know what
go
I'm dealing with. We got high blood pressure. What we working with?
see, you know what? You gonna ask the questions. It's how you be like, look, go to your medicine cabinet right now. I
That's
need to
right.
go right now.
Can I go to the bathroom and open up the little medicine cabinet to see what I'm working with? How many ailments we got?
Oh, that is hilarious. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right.
All
Thank you.
right, we'll definitely connect soon, okay?
All right. Thank you. Take
All
care.
right, bye.